One thing I want to comment on is the difference between something called a relative link and something called an absolute link. We've used a relative link, and a relative link is where you specify whereabouts that page is in relation to the current page. So for example, we're looking at the source of the index.html page, and page 2 is in the same directory, so we can just put the name of that page. If it was perhaps in a subdirectory, perhaps we'll move it. Let's move it into a new folder. And let's just call that test. Okay, and we're just going to have a close notepad to do it. So we're going to move page 2 into the test folder. Okay, so now if we go back to our index page and click on the link, okay, it can't find it because it's not in the same directory. So how do we handle this? Well, we just need to put within that href attribute the folder name as well. So test/page2.html. Now if we save it, and click on the link, excellent, okay, it's now found it again. So using this relative method, we just tell the anchor tag whereabouts that page is going to be found in relation to the current page. The other type of link is something called an absolute link, and an absolute link is where you specify exactly on perhaps this computer whereabouts that page is, rather than relative to the current document. So that second page is actually in a shared folder called server1. It's then in a subdirectory called users, teacher training, my documents, test, etc. So we could also use that instead. So if we go to the index page and put that in the href attribute, save it, just go back to the first page, then if we click on the link there, then great, yeah, it still takes it to us. However, the big problem with this is what happens if perhaps we change the directories that these web pages exist in. Perhaps all of a sudden I say, well, those two web pages, I'm going to move from this directory into a different directory that's going to be called something different. All of a sudden all of these links will be wrong, and I'm going to have to go through and change all of them. Also, when I upload them onto a web server, those web pages won't be in a folder called users on server 1 and a subfolder called teacher training, subfolder called my documents, etc. They'll have their own directory structure. So therefore, the way to go is to always use relative links, because that means that wherever you move those pages to, they always know where they are in relation to one another. And just as a reminder, a relative link is where you don't put the precise location on that computer, it's just whereabouts that page is relative to the